Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Friday to you all, my friends, and welcome anyone new or anyone returning to the podcast. Just a reminder that the title for this week's episodes is Helpful Journal Prompts, which also relates to meditation thoughts, quiet time thoughts, however you want to do it. And today, Friday, the prompt that we were discussing is, what do you need more of in your life? But before we jump right into that, I again want to welcome you. Happy Friday. We've all made it to the weekend. I understand that it's not everyone's weekend because a lot of people work different schedules. I myself used to work the weekends all the time when I worked overnight in the ER. It was Friday and Saturdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, to be specific, and it was a lot, but it was enjoyable, but it was hard. So I understand if you're not necessarily on your weekend, but when you get to your weekend, I know you'll enjoy it. But regardless, happy Friday. I hope that you're having a great day, whether it's just beginning, in the middle, or towards the end. And if you are having a tough day, or you're finding that the day has been really stressful or frustrating or just too much, getting on your nerves, you know what I mean? I encourage you to do the 5-minute reset, which is to take at least 5 minutes to be by yourself, be alone. Take more time if you have it, but I suggest just 5 quick minutes at least, where you can restart, reboot, reset your day right then and there. It just draws a line in the sand to allow you to just leave all the other crap and the hard stuff that you were going through behind, start fresh, be able to, right from that moment, say that you're going to have a good day, you're going to enjoy your day. And yes, complications and problems might still arise. However, you're not letting all those other things that were happening continue to burden you, and you're allowing yourself to have a fresh start, deep breaths. You're like, okay, I'm ready to take on this rest of the day, right? It also gives you an opportunity to, again, take a break from those burdens, issues, problems that you're dealing with, and also come up with a resolution for any problems or issues that you are currently struggling with someone else or by yourself. So it's a good time to get some quick thinking done and take a break, take a deep breath. Also, I always encourage everyone to create a gratitude list of at least 4 items. They can be really big things, really small things, really medium-sized things. You can be grateful for, getting a package in the mail that you've been looking forward to, being able to buy something that was limited edition and was going to sell out immediately online. You can be grateful that The Mandalorian second season 2 is being released today, if you're into that. Or you can just be grateful that maybe you're happy that Halloween is essentially canceled wherever you live, or it's going to be more low-key because maybe it's just not your thing. So you see how you can be grateful for literally anything. So the list is always endless, and you always have the opportunity to express gratitude over some things in your life and know that you still have blessings, no matter what. So last but not least, make sure that you're feeling at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day, because despite what you're going through, you still have wonderful blessings and amazing things happening in your life, even just based on your gratitude list. And I understand that you could be going through a really hard time. It could really suck and cause you a lot of pain and hurt, but if you take the time to focus on the positive things, it will definitely help you get through those hard times, for sure. But I do hope that you all are having a great day. Like I said at the top of the show, this week's topic, title, theme, however you want to describe it, was helpful journal prompts. And today, Friday, the prompt that we are discussing to close out the week is, what do you need more of in your life? So let's just go ahead and jump into that. I found that this prompt was the most appropriate for the end of the week, I think it is very helpful to consider what you may need more of in your life. And the reason why I thought it'd be good at the end of the week is I like to give those ones that are easy to think about, easy to have in the back of your mind, kind of racking up a list of reasons and whys and whats throughout the weekend, throughout whatever activities that you're going to take part in and whatever you need to do. And I feel like this is one of those where you can literally just be not constantly, but often thinking about, man, what do I need more of in my life? Which also can move move into what do I need to get rid of in my life to get more of those, right? So that's also another thought process that you can have. But yeah, it's really helpful to consider what you need more of, because I know a lot of times we do focus in on what don't we need, what do we need to get rid of, what fat can we cut in our lives, what is taking up too much time in our life, which we talked about before. But it's also important to really highlight, what do you need more of? What are you lacking in a way? You know what I mean? And, I'm sure that some of the first things you might think of is like money and time, money and time. But besides those, because I'm sure that the majority of people want more of those, like who doesn't want more money and time, even if the money is not necessarily for yourself, but to help and assist other people. And even if the time isn't necessarily for yourself, but again, to help and assist other people. But besides those, because, think of some other things that would genuinely help you day to day and make life easier day to day. Like really take some time and think like, what do I need more of? Like, you could list ones that are super easy. Like you need more water, you need more exercise, you need more naps. Sometimes I think I need more naps. Maybe you need more coffee, right? Or maybe you need more tea or whatever beverage that you decide that you love to drink that helps you feel energized or what have you. But those are all great. And I'm not saying that those aren't like options, obviously. And I think that the things that you list that you need more of in your life is going to be a longer list than maybe any other list that I've asked you to create this week. It's definitely going to be a longer one because of all those small ones, but there's going to be ones that are at different levels. Obviously we need more water and exercise, but some of the other ones that I'm going to suggest to you today you might feel on a more deeper level. So you might put those first, and you need to prioritize the ones that you find most important as you make your way through the list that you create for yourself. So let me share with you some things to consider adding more of into your life. I have 10 examples. I'm going to briefly go over each one and try not to let this episode be too long. But I think it would be helpful to let you know why I chose these ones and how I find them important. So the first one is more quality time with friends and family. Now, this is a generic one, obviously. Obviously, it's important to spend more quality time with our friends and family because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? And as sad as that is, we need to spend the time that we have right now as the best as we can. And so even if that means like you're not like physically close to your family, you can call them, you can stay in touch with them through the wonders of the internet and technology today on your phone, or you can go see them in person if you live near them and spend time together. And even if you are saying, oh, COVID, like there's nothing to do, there is something you can do, right? You can still go out, maybe just take walks together. Maybe you want to go and get your shopping done together, or maybe there are still like go bike riding, go running, maybe just sit in the park and have some snacks together, what have you. There are definitely things that you can do, or maybe you can create some sort of like group or club where you watch the same movies and shows and discuss them, or read the same books and discuss them, like those kind of things, right? Or maybe you'll start a podcast and talk about something that you're super in love with, like The Mandalorian or something, or The Witcher, or some other show that you like on TV, right? There are so many opportunities you can take to spend more quality time with your friends and family. I think that we do need more of that in our lives because a lot of times we take time with people in our lives for granted, and then when that time is cut short, we are generally always devastated. So more time with family and friends. The next one is more patience. I certainly need more patience in my life all the time. I feel like I'm developing and getting better at having patience for my child, for my husband, for my job, for random strangers on the street, in the store, my nephews, my niece, my family, whomever. I feel like I am developing a stronger patience, but I feel like that is something that should be at the forefront of our mind, to have more patience with other people, because it's important to remember that we don't know know what they are going through. We don't know what someone else is struggling with ever, despite how much they are being transparent and authentic. Sometimes people still keep things secretive. Sometimes they still keep them private. And I think that we should all respect that because, you don't, even if you are the most authentic and transparent person, there are still some things that you don't necessarily want to air out to everyone because it's just not necessary to tell everyone. It's something that you are personally dealing with and going through, and you don't need the input of the entire world, or even like your friends or like your whole family or something. Like it just might be too much. So yeah, it's fine, but you just never know what they're going through. So it's important to remember patience. Also, it's important to have patience like with your pets, with your with your kids, like with just other people that are struggling in life, or also just may not know as much as you, may not be as informed, and they're might be struggling to understand what you are asking or requesting of them or telling them to do. And that can be really frustrating for the other person if you are not having enough patience with them. So I encourage you to also have patience for others and for yourself. Sometimes we are frustrated and upset with ourselves because we haven't hit the goals and accomplishments that we thought we were in that certain amount of time that we put out for ourselves, because we always have higher expectations for ourselves than we do for others generally, or it's the same, it's matched, which is not good either. But we also need to have more patience with ourselves and realize that, if we just don't give up and continue to do what we're doing and work hard, we will get to where we want to go. So the next one is more respect for others. So a lot of times, I feel like it goes along with patience. We don't have patience for others. We don't have respect for others because we're so wrapped up in our own beliefs and what we think is right, when it is very easy to coexist in the world with people that think differently from us, that do things differently from us, have very opposite opinions. You can still respect them and honest and know and recognize that they have a different opinion, and that is fine and that is their right, but you can still get along on other levels of interests and things that you have in common. You don't just have to cut your whole relationship, or you don't have to just cut it all off because this person is voting differently than you, or they have a different religion than you, or they have a different style than you, right? Or a different enneagram number than you, or whatever. I just learned about those recently, actually took the test. It was very interesting. But yeah, so you can and you need to have more respect for other people in your life, and then also respect also means being respectful even if it's not to their face. Make sure that you're not gossiping and talking and backbiting and talking bad about them behind their back and putting them down, and just being so negative about them when they're not in your presence, because that's not fair either, and that also can poison the mind of others if you're sharing that information with other people. So consider that. The next one is more learning. I feel like we should always learn more. It's like that common phrase, knowledge is power, right? And I enjoy being a lifelong learner. I think that's part of the reason why I like doing this podcast. It's because I like to go and spend time doing the research for the topics and episodes that I do. Obviously some take more research than others or less than others, but I love learning new things. So, with the podcast, and then, I'm trying to create videos and other content, and so I'm spending time learning about those things as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And I just love learning, and I think that if you push yourself to have more learning opportunities in your life, you'll feel more happy and fulfilled, and that's the wrong word, properly challenged, to enough that you actually feel like your brain is doing work, and it's just a good experience, and you might discover something that you truly didn't realize that you would fall in love with or really enjoy, or something that actually pertains to what you currently do for work or as a hobby or what have it. So I just encourage you to find a way to have more learning opportunities in your life, even if it's just as easy as, listening to a podcast that talks about certain new things, maybe you're into politics, maybe you're into pop culture, maybe you're into old war movies, like whatever it is, or maybe you like to read books or magazines with articles that talk about different things and differing opinions on certain theories or whatever it is. So I encourage you to find outlets for more learning. The next one is more rest, and I had to make sure that I mentioned this one because it's one that I struggle with myself. I always want to feel like I need to go, go, go. I'm also one of those people that I feel like I always need to be in chaos because I was raised in chaos, and so when I'm not in chaos, I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it's a problem, but it's something that I'm working through. But it also gives me trouble with not being able to rest properly, because even this evening I was talking to my husband, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was just sitting on the couch on my phone. I was like, "I'm just chilling." And he's like, "Well, maybe you should go and take a bath." And I was like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, you would like be able to really chill and relax, and you really like to do that." And I was like, that is a good idea. I should try to do that. And despite the fact that we moved into our new home and I wanted to make sure that there was more than one bathtub in the house, because my daughter also loves to take baths, and we got this home because it has a really nice bath setup in the master bathroom, but I've only taken one bath. Like, honestly, my husband's taken more baths in that bathtub than I have, so it's a problem, and I have trouble just resting and just like actually giving myself a full break. Like, I'll give like little mini breaks here and there, but actually taking the time to fully just like let things go and not always be on attention to wait for something wrong to happen and then jump to fix it, you know what I mean? So I just encourage you, if you are anything like how I described myself, then you should work on having more rest in your life, however you see that. Maybe rest for you is sitting and reading a book, or taking a bath, or sitting through a whole movie without feeling like you need to check on everyone or do a chore while you're trying to enjoy a movie or a show or something like that. You know what I mean? Or maybe rest is being able to go to a store or go shopping by yourself if you have young kiddos, right? So I just encourage you to find a way to rest more in your life if you need more of that. The next one is more faith, and I believe that we need to have more faith in the people that are in our lives. We need to have more faith in Jesus. We need to have more faith in ourselves, that we'll be able to come through all the hard crap that we have to go through. I just think it's really important to beef up our faith a lot, because a lot of times that is really the only thing we can hang on to in those really hard, critical times when we don't even know what's going to happen and we're like kind of on edge. What if we just have faith that we're going to be able to get through it? Or faith that God's going to help us get through it, or faith that the people in our lives are going to come through for us, or that we are going to make it through this storm. We just need to be strong and believe that we can do it. The next one is more adventures. I wanted to add this one because it's fun, right? We need to have more adventures in our lives so we can like shake things up a bit, so we're not constantly doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? Isn't that the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I just want to encourage you to find more adventures. And even if that adventure is just finding like a new hiking trail, or maybe it's going to a new small group or a new like activity group in your community, in your neighborhood. Maybe it's just actually meeting and talking to your neighbors, right? Or maybe it is taking a drive to go hiking or go do some sort of winter sport like skiing or snowboarding, as we're coming upon that season. I don't know if people will be allowed to do that with the whole COVID situation, but you know what I mean? Like, go and do those really fun activities. I just encourage you to find a way to be adventurous, try new things, really experiment with like what you really enjoy, shake things up a bit, stop doing the same thing all the time. Or even, let's just say a lot of those things you can't do, right? And let's just say, well, maybe you being adventurous is trying a new genre of book, or trying a new genre of TV show, or taking your dog on a walk on a different path. That's still shaking it up and being adventurous. I think you should shoot a little bit higher than that, but if you're afraid, you can always take baby steps like those, right? That's totally fine. Take it slow. The next one is more music. I say this because I'm in love with music. I've been in love with music my whole entire life. I can actually safely say that because my dad was a DJ and a radio station owner when I was growing up. He's still a DJ. He also does computer programming and that kind of stuff. But I grew up with music all the time, because he'd be playing music all the time, and I would play music all the time, even while I was sleeping. Most of my childhood, I would always have my radio on or have a CD playing, or once I got older, I had my computer playing music in the background of all the time. And I remember I had to take the city bus across town to go to school for many years, and I got a Walkman, like a CD Walkman, and there would be so many times where I'd be so upset because my batteries died and I couldn't listen to any more CDs like going to and from school. And I know there was times where once I got to the bus station, which was like the transfer point, I would hope that I had enough money just to get a couple batteries in between so I can listen to music. I'm obsessed with music. But anyway, all that to say is I think that we all need more music in our life. I know that not everyone is in love with music maybe as much as I am or as other people are, but I think that if you find the genre that you truly enjoy, you should try to find more artists that are within that genre, or just listen to new genres, like try them out. Like I know a lot of people out there are like, oh, I like most genres except for country, but maybe there are a couple country artists or songs that you like, and maybe you just want to kind of be adventurous and step out and listen to a couple of those and see if you really don't like it still. And if you don't, that's fine. Everyone likes what they like, and that's good and that's fine. But, maybe try some new ones, discover some new artists, listen to some little bit different music, shake it up a bit, try to get some recommendations from some people. I feel like Spotify is pretty good at giving recommendations based upon what you listen to. So I would just get out there and try and listen to some more music, and I just feel like it soothes the soul. I know not everyone feels that way, but I feel like it does soothe the soul. The next one is more laughing. Of course, I would say this. More laughing, more having fun, more silliness, more enjoyment in our lives. We should be laughing and having fun as much as we can because, yes, there are going to be hard times, dark times, difficult times, but we should try to find the humor in most things, and we should try to be laughing and having fun as much as we can so that we can look back on those happy times when we are in our dark times to make it feel a little bit lighter and easier. The last one that I want to mention in this list is more joy. I personally have been deciding to make the choice to choose joy every single day because the stress that I've had weighing on me has literally caused so many panic attacks, like actual panic attacks. And I've decided that I just have to choose joy every single day, and those actual real feelings will follow, and it's helped so much. And I encourage you that, you might need more joy in your life. If you find your life being dull and not as great as you would want it to be, a little bit empty, a little bit stagnant, I would encourage you to choose joy. Be happy, have the strength and the confidence to know that you don't need anyone's permission to be happy, to be joyful, even if you're happy about the smallest things, right? It's okay because you have the right to be happy about anything you want and express that joy no matter how the other people in your life are feeling. Like, I understand there are times where we need to be respectful of some people going through a hard time when we're trying to help them and talk to them. But there's also a point where you just have to also let go and just let your joy loose. And that might actually rub off on someone in a positive way and cause them to feel that joy as well. So I encourage you that you might need more joy in your life, and you should choose that and then move through it, and it'll come a lot easier day after day. So last but not least, I know I said I only had 10, but I want to highlight that we need to have more acceptance for others despite our competing and differing beliefs. We just need to. I find, again, this goes back to the respect thing. We need to accept people as who they are and believe people when they tell us who they are, right? You've heard that before, I'm sure. It's important to realize that even though we have differing opinions and we do things different ways, yes, we can influence each other to try to do things in different ways and then kind of mix it up a little bit and see if someone else's way works better for us or vice versa. But also, if that's not the case, then we do need to respect that that person has those thoughts, has that way of thinking, has those core values. Like, that's just who they are. And we need to respect that. Even if we do not agree at all whatsoever, you can still be respectful and you can still come together on different points, usually. There's definitely going to be those people in your life where you literally don't agree on anything, but you can still respect them. And then you don't have to necessarily talk to them or socialize with them. Maybe you have to meet them if they're part of some other circle that you're a part of every now and again. But honestly, you can just be like, okay, that's fine. Like, you believe that, I believe this, and that's fine. You don't have to beat them to death over with your own opinions and views to try to sway them. That's not fair, because you would not want that. You wouldn't want anyone else to do that to you, right? Literally think about that. If you feel the need to do that to someone else, how would you feel if someone else did that to you? Right? And you're not always right. You just need to know that you're not always right. I'm not always right. No one's always right, except for Jesus. No one's always right. And you have to accept that too. And once you accept that and fully embrace that, then I feel like it'll be a lot easier for you to accept and respect other people. Absolutely. So, okay, you guys, well, thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, my name is Sabrina. Thank you so much for listening, downloading, coming back. I hope that you really enjoyed this whole week's worth of episodes talking about helpful journal prompts. I understand that this topic was probably a little bit more dull than other ones, but I do think that it's helpful, and I do think that there is some good key pieces of knowledge in this week's episodes. But don't worry, next week I am super stoked with what we are going to be talking about. And I haven't fully decided yet, but we're either talking about the top 5 most unpleasant emotions, or we're going to be talking about stop doing these things, like stop being a perfectionist, stop being a victim, and I'm leaning more towards doing that one. So if you're still listening, you got a sneak peek of what we're talking about next week, because in the past, I would always say I never know. I'd always decide over the weekend, but I've been trying to not schedule things like that, actually trying to schedule things. So if you are still listening, then you'll know that we're doing one of those. Probably going to do the Stop Doing These Things series for next week, because I think it'll be really helpful. So anyway, check the description box for notes for the show, where to find me on Instagram, which is at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or at Real Positive Girl Podcast, or my email for any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, topic suggestions, whatever, just to say hey, hi, hello. But I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Get some rest, have some fun, and I hope you come back next week. Bye, guys.